Well, there goes my career as a magician. Welcome everyone to a brand new Top 10. My name is Matthew Santoro, and today is all about people that vanished. That's right, gone without a trace, and surprisingly, there are more than a few documented instances of people who have disappeared with no explanation. So today, we are going to dive into these bizarre cases of human disappearances that still have not been solved to this day. So, let's get to it. Here are 10 mysterious disappearances that were never explained. Number 1 is Louie La Prince. Louie La Prince is known today as the father of cinematography for shooting the first moving pictures on paper film using a single lens camera. Unfortunately, that achievement is not what he's most famous for. On September 16th of 1890, La Prince was on a train bound for the UK where he was patenting his new camera when he inexplicably vanished. Not a single trace of him was found on the train, though passengers claimed seeing him there. His luggage and belongings vanished with him, and none of the train doors were open to suggest that he jumped. Multiple theories have been presented to make sense of La Prince's disappearance, including an assassination plot made by Thomas Edison. Well, I mean, David Copperfield once made a whole train vanish, so, you know, back in the day, maybe they just started a little smaller, you know, with people. Number 2 is the Springfield III. On June 2nd, 1992, Cheryl Levitt, her daughter, and a family friend all vanished from Levitt's Missouri home. Two younger women, Susie Streeter and Stacy McCall, attended a graduation party and headed back around 2:15 a.m. This was the last time any of the three were seen. Police were alerted to the missing women by a family friend, but were baffled when they found their clothes, purses, and keys all in the house and Levitt's car still in the driveway. In fact, the only odd thing about the scene was a smashed light bulb on the front porch. What makes this story even more bizarre is that a man named Robert Craig Cox came forward claiming to know that all three women were in fact murdered and that their bodies would never be found. But because of the lack of evidence, they couldn't charge him. You know, this is alarmingly similar to the plot of the movie Fracture, except this guy isn't nearly as creepy as Anthony Hopkins. Nobody's as creepy as Anthony Hopkins. Number 3 is Jimmy Hoffa. On July 30th, 1975, 62-year-old union activist and convicted criminal Jimmy Hoffa disappeared from a restaurant parking lot in Oakland County, Michigan. He'd gone to the restaurant to meet with two mafia leaders, leading many to believe that he'd been murdered by the mob. This mystery got widespread media attention due to Hoffa's former role as the president of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, a well-known labor union. Rumors about where Hoffa ended up are still coming in to this day and include being burned and buried in oil drums, put through a wood chipper, and even being buried under the New York Giants end zone. So if a player ever trips over a rock during a game, that's not a rock. It's a skull! Number 4 is Rebecca Khorium. On March 21st, 2011, Rebecca Khorium, a 24-year-old youth worker aboard the Disney Wonder cruise ship, disappeared from the vessel while it traveled through the Pacific Ocean. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but security footage shows Rebecca in a very heated phone conversation, which was the very last time she was ever seen. Rebecca's parents and some of her co-workers claim that Disney and the Royal Bahamas Police know more than they're saying, but no further evidence was ever found. But the plot thickens. Somehow, well after vanishing from the ship, Rebecca's credit cards were used, and according to her uncle, the password to her Facebook profile was changed. So the question is this the work of an imposter or hacker, or is Rebecca's ghost just getting really good Wi-Fi from Davy Jones' locker? Yarr, she's the newest Disney pirate of the Caribbean, matey. Sorry, no disrespect, she did. Number 5 is Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Flight 370 took off from Kuala Lumpur on March 8, 2014 at 12:41 a.m. local time and lost contact with air traffic control less than an hour in what is largely considered one of the biggest aviation mysteries in all of history. According to reports, the plane drastically changed its flight path and vanished from radar. None of the 239 passengers and crew have ever been found. At the time, the incident gained the record record as both the deadliest aviation incident to occur in Malaysian Airlines history and the deadliest involving a 777. Unbelievably, these records were both broken only 131 days later with the crashing of Flight 17. Hi there, need a cheap flight but don't want the hassle of actually making it safely to your destination? Well, the Malaysian Airlines has a ride for you! Number 6 is Frederick Valentich. On October 21st, 1978, Australian pilot Frederick Valentich was flying over Australia's Bass Strait when he radioed in that an unidentified flying object was following him. According to the transcript, the UFO was tracking him, stopped in midair, and then vanished. His final transmission was, "It's hovering and it's not an aircraft," followed by white noise. No trace of Valentich or his plane was ever discovered. Okay, see, this one makes me kind of uncomfortable. Not just because this is one more piece of evidence to support the existence of aliens, which totally freaks me out, but because if they did in fact get him, his butt likely became an alien pincushion. Ouch. Number 7 is Bela Kiss. In July 1916, Hungarian police raided the home of Bela Kiss where he was serving in World War I. To their horror, the team found the bodies of 24 women, all with puncture wounds on their necks and their blood completely drained, which led many to believe that Kiss was a vampire. But it gets weirder because on October 4th, investigators tracked the killer to a Serbian hospital only to find upon their arrival that he had vanished and a dead soldier was in his bed where he had recently been. But the story gets weirder because just 4 years later, in 1920, a man matching Kiss's description and using one of the man's aliases appeared serving in a French Foreign Legion, but again, suddenly disappeared just before police arrived. Finally, in 1932, the same man once again surfaced, this time in New York City. Now, many people reported him working as a janitor, but when officers went there to question him, the vampire vanished for the final time. Nobody knows what happened to him or how he managed to evade capture so many times. Which is especially odd to me. I mean, it's gotta be hard walking around undetected when you sparkle in the sunlight. Look like a freak show walking around. Number 8 is the Royal Norfolk Regiment. War is definitely scary, but a battalion of British World War I soldiers had to fear not only their enemies, but paranormal forces as well. In 1915, 3 officers watched as a regiment of 250 men marched up a hill in Sylvia Bay, Turkey, and into a dense fog that had settled on the ground. But after the last man entered, the mist lifted to reveal that, shockingly, every last soldier had vanished. Since no bodies were ever found, when the war ended, the British government demanded the return of their men, only to have the Turkey deny that they'd ever encountered the British regiment at all. That's some creepy shit. Number 9 is MV Joyita. Easily one of the most unsettling maritime mysteries of all time, the MV Joyita, a merchant vessel, left port in Samoa on October 3rd, 1955 with 25 people aboard and was found 5 weeks later on November 10th, half submerged and completely abandoned. The radio on board was set to the International Distress Channel, one of the engines was completely covered in mattresses of all things, and all of the lifeboats were missing. To make matters even more creepy, investigators found that all of the clocks had mysteriously frozen to read 10:25, and a doctor's bag was discovered full of bloody bandages. What happened aboard the MV Joyita and her crew's whereabouts are unknown to this day, although many have theorized that pirates, lunacy, or even aliens could be to blame. My money's on the pirate alien lunatics. Arrgh. I don't know what that was. And number 10, the colony of Roanoke. On August 18, 1590, John White landed on Roanoke Island, returning from England with supplies for a colony he'd helped establish just 3 years prior. However, instead of the village of 117 settlers that he'd left behind, White found the entire area completely devoid of human life. On top of that, every makeshift building had been taken down by hand, and the only signs left for him were the word Croatoan carved on a wooden post and the word crow carved into a nearby tree. To this very day, nobody can say what happened to the colonists, but the story has been portrayed in many books, films, television shows, and most often in the horror genre. Well, according to this document that I have in my hand that is totally factual and in no way completely off the top of my head, Croatoan is a First Nation word that means, "Oh mama, there's a monster on the island, mama no!" That's the translation. And those, my friends, were 10 mysterious disappearances that were never solved. Now you know why to carry a cell phone with you everywhere. You never know who's gonna try to take you. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know by giving that like button a click and sharing it on Facebook and Twitter or anywhere else you want to share it. And I will see you all back here next Saturday, you guessed it, with a brand new video. Bye. Surprise, I'm such a good magician. Shouldn't have had that extra coffee. Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Remember to click that big red subscribe button to be notified of future videos on my channel. On the right, you'll find an annotation to my last video and some cool merch if you're interested in looking like the coolest kid in town. Just don't do this while you wear it. You'll also find an annotation to my second channel where I make vlogs, unboxings, and a ton more content, so be sure to subscribe to that. And of course, for all of you watching on your mobile device, like your phone, your tablet, or maybe your digital squirrel, all of the links I just mentioned will be in the description below. I love you guys. See you next week. Bye.